Hey, what's going on, guys? If you recently watched my video I just posted on YouTube, how to easily eat more food to gain muscle, I promised you guys I would film a video outside so I can show you around really fast. So the sun is going down a bit, but that's nice because we won't have a glare. But let that focus really fast. That's the beach right there, the ocean. So that's pretty nice. So I'll definitely talk about that more another time. The point of this video is I want to talk about some key factors all skinny guys need to focus on in their training to maximize their muscle growth. And the three most important things, well, I'm just going to tell you right now. The first one is strength training. No matter what, we need to focus on getting stronger. Think of it like this. We're not going to have the body, the big, strong, muscular bodies that we want if we're weak. We can't just go into the gym and do a ton of drop sets, giant sets, supersets, all that crap. Our muscles are not going to grow off of 20 pounds and just fatiguing the heck out of our muscles. They're going to grow from lifting heavier and heavier weights over time. So your training needs to have a good protocol for making consistent strength gains on a weekly basis, and just having that progressive overload in mind. Adding that extra rep or extra 5 pounds every single week. That is how your muscle is going to grow. So keep that in mind, because that's going to come into play with the third topic. The second one is, it's not talked about too much, but now I want to address this beforehand so I can help you not make the same mistakes I did, because I'm still trying to fix these problems. And that is developing a strong mind to muscle connection and working with lagging body parts. Now we're going to dive into what lagging body parts means in a little bit in this video, but for example, my right chest and my right shoulder, almost like my entire right side, was off balance with my left. I'm left-handed, so maybe that was the issue there. But I feel like whenever I got so far in my strength, my strength level, it started to hinder me a little bit. I could only make so many strength gains, and then I was like, whoa, something is off balance here. I need to go back and fix it. So now I've been working on fixing that, and it's coming pretty well. I'll actually post, you can watch this video right here real quick. Boom. That was me hitting some seated dumbbell shoulder presses. I thought that fifth rep, that was actually with my left hand. That fifth rep, I almost went back there a little bit, so that was a little scary. It was because I switched to that other chair. That's another great tip. If you want to do seated dumbbell shoulder presses, I recommend getting like a flat bench and putting it up as high as it can go. I feel like it just offers you more stability as well. And because whenever I went down to that chair, I just felt off balance. I think pushing myself, I was used to driving my back into the bench, but whenever I did that, the weight started to fall back. So definitely be careful with that, and try out that bench. You might get a little bit more stability. So yeah, working with that mind to muscle connection and fixing lagging body parts before it's too late definitely plays a key role in your program. So the third thing that we need to focus on is, after we make these great strength gains, how do we take our physique to the next level? How do we go from building a good amount of muscle, but then looking like insane, in or out of a shirt, and just maximizing our muscle building potential? And that comes into play with combining reverse pyramid training, rest pause training, even standard pyramid training, but you have to place them strategically in place in your program to get the best out of it. All right, now to get the benefit of all those three key factors I just talked about, I like to set my training up with one specific approach, and that is splitting my training program up into different phases. So let's talk about the different phases and how you can apply this to your training as well. The first phase is very important for beginners. They're very new to lifting weights, or even if you lifted weights in the past for a little bit but haven't really seen the results that you wanted to see. Sorry, there's something in my throat. And this is very important because even if someone has some experience lifting weights, they probably focus on not that effective exercises, maybe too many isolation exercises. So the first phase is definitely important on focusing on key exercises, but the first phase is going to be working in the higher rep ranges. as a side note, it's going to trigger some more sarcoplasmic hypertrophy, and that's going to give you a nice quick increase in size. But working in those higher rep ranges, like for example 6 to 12, it's going to give your body, it's going to help your body get used to pushing yourself for those strength gains. You're still going to be using, I recommend using like reverse pyramid training, but you're not using that heavy weight, so you can still learn the proper form on the key exercises and whatnot. And then jumping into the second phase. The second phase is where the magic really happens. But you need the first phase because it's going to get used to pushing your body and get you used to the key exercises, get you used to what reverse pyramid training looks like, and all of those fun things. The second phase is going to focus on making strength gains as fast as possible because, like I mentioned, the most important thing is that we are getting stronger. So it only makes sense to dial in our training so we can make those gains as quickly as possible. While you're making those strength gains as quickly as possible, focus on those lacking body parts and keep them all up to speed so your physique grows as one and you're not, like me, later down the road trying to fix these imbalances that could potentially hurt your strength gains. So that's what you can do in phase 2. In phase 2, you're going to be working with more heavier weight and really pushing yourself all the way down to maybe like the 4 to 6 and 6 to 10 rep ranges, but down to that 4 rep range, so you're really pushing some heavy weights and triggering that myofibrillar hypertrophy, or the growth of the actual muscle cells. And then finally, moving on to phase 3, this is where you can back off on the frequency a little bit, because in phase 2, if we're going to be focusing on making those strength gains as quickly as possible, I like to hit those main exercises every 3 to 4 days, or using a 2-day split. So I'm going like push and pull, for example. This will allow for like proper recovery and making those quick strength gains, like I just said. Now in phase 3, you can go down to a 3-day split where you're only hitting the main exercises maybe like every 5 to 7 days. So the strength gains will still be there. You're still going to be using reverse pyramid training, but you're even going to be going in lower reps and pushing even heavier weight. That's why whenever I do this, because our bodies, I feel like they can get pretty drained out, our central nervous systems especially. So whenever we're hitting our key exercises every 3 to 4 days, we're going to get burnt out after a while, but to keep those gains coming, I like to back off it a little bit and then focus on maximizing muscle growth with those new strength gains we just made in phase 2. So that's why in phase 3, our strength gains will be a tad slower, but we're going to be adding in more volume with protocols such as rest pause training to really maximize the muscle growth from all the new strength that we just got. So that's basically the 3 phases I would approach in your training. Having that super high rep, and then the higher rep to get used to pushing yourself, and somewhat heavy weights. That can last anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. And then focusing maybe 3 to 4 months on getting as strong as possible, as quickly as you can. And then for the third phase, for about 2 to 3 months, maximizing muscle growth with that newfound strength you just gained. Alright, and one last time to wrap this video up and make sure you know what to do to apply this to your training. If you're going to split your program up into different phases, which I recommend you do to maximize your muscle growth and strength building potential, that was almost a mouthful to say, you can split your different phases up like this. In phase 1, you're going to be focusing in on the 6 to 15 rep range, as well as still using reverse pyramid training, but you're not going to be using that heavy weights. This, allows you to build that mind-to-muscle connection, get used to pushing yourself, and building up the foundation to move into phase 2. And in the phase 2, you can focus on that 4 to 8 rep range, or 4 to 12 rep range, rather. In that 4 to 12 rep range, you're going to be using much heavier weights, especially with reverse pyramid training on your first set around that 4 to 6. Really pushing that and triggering as much muscle growth and strength as possible. And then this also builds into your third phase, because we're gaining all that strength. I don't know what's in the bushes over there in the dunes. But anyway, this builds up into the third phase, where we even drop the rep range a little bit lower and focus into like the 2 to 8 rep range, where we can really start pushing some heavy weights, but also back off on the frequency a little bit, so make sure our nervous systems are recovered and all that stuff. that's important. You don't want to get overtrained or anything like that. So within that 2-day rep range, we're also going to add in that extra volume. So you're still getting the insane strength gains and pushing some heavy weight, but adding in protocols like rest pause so to maximize our muscle growth with our newfound strength. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video on understanding the importance of splitting your training up into different phases to maximize strength and muscle gains. It definitely helped me tremendously, and that's why I want to share this stuff with you, so you learn from my mistakes. Oh, and speaking of that, I actually wrote a quick ebook of all the main mistakes that I made in like the 2 years that I was trying to gain weight and build muscle, and it just didn't work. So I want you to learn from my mistakes, and that's why I compiled an ebook of all 17 of the main mistakes. I don't know why I'm holding it up. Maybe I'll pop up the annotation like right here. You can click on it and learn about the 17 mistakes that kept me skinny so you don't stay skinny. Because I want to help you build muscle and strength so you can build the body of your dreams and conquer your skinniness once and for all. So you can, you can click here if I'm going to be able to make the annotation right here. That would be sweet. And then we can even chat on email if you want to, because whenever you get that, you'll be on the GTM Fitness newsletter, and I'll shoot you some emails with some awesome tips and keep you updated with all the content coming your way. And yeah, we'll get to know each other more, and I'll help you gain some muscle and strength. So that's all, guys. Comment below on what you thought of the video. I can't wait to get more content out, and I'll talk soon.